GitHub changed one sentence. Almost nobody noticed. It looked like another routine product update. Then, weeks later, developers around the world began receiving shocking bills. Everyone blamed the pricing. Some blamed GitHub. But every investigation begins by questioning the obvious suspect. Because the evidence points somewhere much deeper. Hidden beneath every AI-generated line of code is an invisible process that quietly consumes more memory, more computation, and more money than almost anyone realizes. Tonight, we open the case file, follow every clue, and uncover where every AI dollar really disappears.
Welcome to this video from the Final Mind.
At the start of the investigation, our clue was hiding in the plain sight. On the 27th of April, 2026, GitHub published what looked like another ordinary product announcement. Most developers never looked twice. Why would they? Product updates happen all the time. But buried inside that announcement was one sentence that quietly changed everything. GitHub revealed that Copilot was no longer just helping developers write code. It had become an AI agent. That sounded exciting. An assistant waits for instructions. An agent keeps working on its own. It reads files, searches for bugs, writes code, runs tests, fixes mistakes, and repeats the process until the task is complete. It looked like the future of software development. Then the bills started arriving. Developers who once enjoyed unlimited coding suddenly hit usage limits. Some exhausted an entire month's credits in a single day. Everyone blamed the pricing. But pricing wasn't the real story. GitHub didn't create the problem. It simply exposed it. The real mystery was hidden much deeper. And every clue pointed toward one tiny object. The token. Every mystery has one tiny detail that everyone overlooks. In our case, it's the token. A token isn't intelligence. It isn't code. It isn't even a complete word. It's simply a tiny piece of text. Every prompt becomes tokens. Every reply becomes tokens. Every source file becomes tokens. Every comment. Every space. Every symbol. Everything is broken into these tiny pieces before the AI can understand it. Think of tokens as the letters in a detective's evidence file. One letter means nothing. But thousands of pages create an enormous investigation. That's exactly how AI works. It doesn't read like humans do. It reads thousands of tiny pieces. Then predicts the next one. Then the next. One token at a time. At first glance. That doesn't sound expensive. And it isn't. Not by itself. The token isn't guilty. The real problem begins when the AI has to remember every token it has ever seen. And that's where this investigation takes an unexpected turn. For years, AI coding assistants behaved like chatbots. You asked a question. They answered. The conversation ended. Simple. Fast. Affordable. Then everything changed. Modern AI didn't just answer questions anymore. It became an agent. Now one request could trigger an entire chain of invisible work. The agent opens project folders, reads thousands of lines of code, looks for related files, writes new functions, runs automated tests, reads the failures, fixes the mistakes, runs the tests again, and keeps repeating the cycle until it believes the job is finished. To the developer, it still feels like one conversation. Behind the scenes, it can become dozens of conversations. Every action creates more information. Every decision creates more context. Every new step creates more tokens. The AI is no longer answering one question. It's conducting its own investigation. And every investigation leaves behind a growing trail of evidence. The bigger that evidence becomes, the more expensive the next step will be. For years, developers believed they had discovered the perfect deal. Unlimited AI coding. For about $10 a month. It felt almost unbelievable. Because it almost was. Behind the scenes, companies were quietly losing money. Lots of it. The subscription price never reflected the real cost of running these systems. It reflected a business strategy. Get millions of developers using AI first. Figure out the economics later. Retail stores have done this for decades. Sell one product below cost. Bring customers through the door. Technology companies do the same thing. The cheap subscription wasn't the destination. It was the invitation. And for a while, the strategy worked. Developers embraced AI coding faster than anyone expected. Then AI agents arrived. They consumed far more computing power than simple chatbots ever had. The old business model started falling apart. The numbers no longer added up. Something inside the technology was multiplying the cost. The next clue explains exactly what it was. This is where the investigation changed. Until now, everything pointed toward pricing. But pricing wasn't the real culprit. Memory was. Humans remember conversations. AI doesn't. It remembers by rereading. Every prompt comes back. Every instruction comes back. Every source file comes back. Every bug report comes back. Every correction comes back. Nothing is truly remembered. Everything is simply read again. Imagine a detective solving a murder. Before questioning every new witness, he must reread the entire case file. From the very first page. Every single time. It sounds absurd. Yet that's almost exactly how today's AI works. The longer the conversation becomes, the larger the case file grows. And every new step begins by reopening it. The 20th step isn't just step 20. It's steps 1 through 19. All over again. Suddenly, the exploding bills begin to make sense. But researchers uncovered an even bigger surprise. The AI wasn't spending most of its time writing code. It was doing something else. Everyone blamed the writing. Nobody blamed the reading. The evidence tells a different story. Researchers discovered that most of the computing cost comes before the AI writes a single new line of code. It comes from reading. Reading the prompt. Reading the files. Reading the conversation. Reading every previous decision. Again. And again. Imagine hiring a lawyer to write one page. Instead of charging for the writing, the lawyer charges for rereading every email you have ever exchanged. The document costs almost nothing. The reading costs everything. That is exactly how modern AI works. The answer is surprisingly cheap. Understanding everything that came before is incredibly expensive. Every new test result becomes another document. Every correction becomes another page. Every failed attempt makes the next attempt even more expensive. The longer the session continues, the more the AI spends looking backward instead of forward. But another discovery shocked researchers even more. Sometimes, all that extra thinking produced almost no extra value. We all believe the same thing. Think longer. Get better answers. It sounds obvious. Researchers discovered it wasn't always true. At first, giving AI more time helps. It reasons better. It catches more mistakes. It writes better code. Then something changes. The improvements begin to slow down. Eventually, they almost disappear. Sometimes the answers actually become worse. The AI starts questioning itself. It revisits old decisions. Explores new paths. Repeats similar reasoning. Every new idea creates more tokens. Every new token creates a larger bill. The AI looks busy. It looks intelligent. But appearances can be deceptive. Imagine a detective who keeps reopening solved evidence instead of following the strongest lead. The investigation gets longer. The folders become thicker. But the case never gets closer to being solved. Sometimes intelligence isn't the problem. Efficiency is. And nowhere is that more obvious than the next piece of evidence. Most people think AI spends its time writing code. It doesn't. It spends much of its time checking itself. The agent writes code, runs a test. The test fails. It reads the error, changes the code, runs another test. Another failure. Another repair. Another test. Again. Again. And again. Every repair creates more context. Every test adds another page to the case file. Every failure makes the next attempt more expensive. A human developer often knows when to stop. Ask a colleague. Change the approach. Start over. Today's AI rarely knows when enough is enough. It keeps searching, even when the answer may not exist. Every extra attempt consumes more computation, more memory, more money. Now imagine this happening. Not once, but thousands of times. Across thousands of developers. That is exactly what happened inside some of the world's largest technology companies. Until now, the damage was easy to ignore. One developer. One coding session. One unexpected bill. But then companies deployed AI at scale. Thousands of engineers. Millions of lines of code. Millions of AI requests. The costs didn't just increase. They exploded. One company discovered it had exhausted its annual AI coding budget only months into the year. The software wasn't broken. The budgeting was. Managers could estimate salaries. They could estimate cloud infrastructure. They could estimate software licenses. But they couldn't estimate an AI agent. Because every task followed a different path. One bug might take 2 minutes. Another nearly identical bug could trigger dozens of repair cycles. One consumed a few thousand tokens. The other consumed hundreds of thousands. Nobody knew the final bill until the work was already finished. For the first time, companies weren't paying for software. They were paying for uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the most expensive things any business can buy. The next clue revealed an even stranger consequence. The way companies measured success was making the problem worse. Once companies started spending millions on AI, they wanted proof it was worth it. So they began measuring usage. More AI. More prompts. More agent activity. At first, it sounded perfectly reasonable. Then the numbers started changing people's behavior. Some teams began chasing usage instead of outcomes. The goal quietly shifted. Not better software. More AI activity. Imagine rewarding detectives. Not for solving cases, but for collecting the biggest stack of evidence. What happens next? Everyone starts collecting paper. Nobody solves crimes faster. The same thing can happen with AI. Longer conversations. More reasoning. More retries. More tokens. Bigger invoices. The system appears productive. But appearances can be misleading. The best AI isn't the one that works the longest. It's the one that finishes first. That realization pointed investigators toward one final suspect. Not the software. Not the users. The hardware itself. Business decisions explain part of the mystery. Physics explain the rest. Every AI conversation must stay alive while the model is working. Nothing can disappear. Every instruction stays available. Every source file stays available. Every previous answer stays available. Think about this investigation. Every photograph, every sticky note, every newspaper clipping, every red string. Take away one piece. The whole story starts falling apart. AI works exactly the same way. Its evidence must remain visible until the task is complete. As the conversation grows, so does the memory it needs. Eventually, one graphics processor isn't enough. Then two. Sometimes several. Not because the AI is getting smarter, because the conversation is getting larger. This isn't simply a business problem anymore. It's a hardware problem. And hardware has limits. It has power limits, memory limits, physical limits. No pricing strategy can change the laws of physics. Which leaves us with one final question. If AI is becoming this expensive, is it actually worth it? The evidence was finally coming together. This was never just a technology story. It was an economic story. For decades, companies paid for software. Then they paid for cloud computing. Now they're paying for intelligence. One token at a time. The promise is real. Developers finish some tasks faster. Teams ship features sooner. Companies move quicker than before. But speed comes with a price. Every extra thought costs money. Every extra repair costs money. Every extra retry costs money. The question is no longer, can AI write code? We already know it can. The real question is, can it write code efficiently? Because intelligence without efficiency is expensive. Imagine two engineers. One solves the problem in 5 minutes. The other spends an hour checking every possible solution before reaching the same answer. Both finish the job. Only one makes business sense. The future of AI won't belong to the model that thinks the longest. It will belong to the one that reaches the right answer first. And that race has already begun. Researchers around the world are searching for the next breakthrough. The industry knows the problem. The race is already underway. Researchers aren't trying to make AI think more. They're trying to make it think smarter. Some are building better memory. Others are redesigning how AI retrieves information. Some are creating smaller coding models. Others are teaching AI to ignore unnecessary context. The goal is surprisingly simple. Read less. Remember more. Spend fewer tokens. But every solution creates another challenge. Remove too much information. The AI gets confused. Give it too much. The bill explodes. Finding the perfect balance has become one of the biggest engineering challenges in artificial intelligence. Whoever solves it won't just build a better coding assistant. They could redefine the economics of AI itself. The investigation is still open. But enough evidence has emerged to deliver a verdict. We started by blaming GitHub. GitHub wasn't the culprit. We blamed expensive subscriptions. They weren't the real problem either. Then we blamed tokens. But tokens were only the evidence. The real story was hidden much deeper. Inside the architecture. Today's AI keeps rereading. Keeps testing. Keeps verifying. Keeps carrying its entire history forward. Every new step becomes heavier than the last. That's why coding agents cost so much more than ordinary chatbots. The industry didn't suddenly become greedy. It collided with the limits of today's technology. The next revolution won't be about building bigger models. It will be about building more efficient ones. Models that remember without rereading. Models that solve problems without endless retries. Models that spend less time thinking. And more time getting the answer right. Because in the future, the smartest AI may not be the one that does the most work. It may be the one that needs to do the least. The case is closed. At least for today. We now know why AI coding suddenly became so expensive. Not because someone changed the pricing, but because the technology itself changed. Every new generation of AI agents became more capable. And every new capability came with a hidden computational cost. The companies that solve this problem won't just build faster AI. They'll reshape the future of software development. If this investigation helped you see AI differently, support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with someone who uses AI every day, and subscribing for our next investigation. Until then, keep questioning the headlines. Keep following the evidence. Because the biggest stories are rarely hidden in plain sight. They're hidden underneath the technology itself.
Thank you for watching. To view similar videos in future, do not forget to subscribe.